Live?
The Ducks. The Ducks.
Oh, damn, we're live.
The Ducks.
What about the Ducks?
But where did the ducks, the geese go? I was looking at the geese and the ducks and... Oh, sorry, are we live?
I think so, yes, indeed.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Great White North. We've gotten about 2.5 feet of snow here, so come on up. And the Yankees back in Yankee land, right?
I am back in the heart of Yankee land, indeed.
Where the real Yankees came from, the original Yankees, yeah. So we're back, we're all nested out today, and we hadn't planned on this until about 2 days ago, but the proverbial poo has hit the proverbial fan in a land called Kakistan.
Indeed.
Indeed, and there's a lot of different angles to this. Socioeconomic and general frustration, promises kept, promises not made, plus there's geopolitical impact because it involves Russia and it also involves China. Thank you very much. And that we're covering that. But we got more. And what's some more?
We're going to be covering,
crypto.
Well, I mean, Kazakhstan, we're going to start things off with another 2022 prediction that Canada will release a CBDC many months or years before the U.S. Fed. So, but in 2022.
Wait. You said they're going to release ACDC?
Oh, yeah. And yeah, they're going to release Back in Black by ACDC.
I like
they're going to re-release it in Canada. They're going to have a whole
reunion tour and everything
over that. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Back in Black. Yeah.
We love rock and roll up here.
But so Canadians,
what are you talking about?
If the Canadians do come out with a CBDC, it's going to be called a digital loonie. Is that correct?
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Canada will have a digital loonie.
Yeah.
Once it releases a central bank digital currency, and then I'm going to have a nice little pretty map that shows how far behind the U.S. Fed is in issuing its own CBDC. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then a big focus on Kazakhstan, like the Canuck has said, and actually a few other countries: Congo, Belgrade, Colombia, India, Cuba, Peru, Berlin.
Lots of video today,
Paris,
kids.
Turkey, Thailand. Thai police used tear gas and water cannon on anti-government protesters.
Yep.
Israel, Northern Ireland, UK, Russia,
excerpts. We won't play them all.
And Peru to finish it off. So it's going to be a dizzying array of videos and stuff like that. But I think overall it'll be a good time for everybody. And then we're going to finish everything up with Bizarro news. We've got some news about HARP is this massive military installation they built. I believe it's in Alaska. We've got the two Wired articles on that, and there is a guy who's been convicted of fraud in relation to HARP and DARPA and some things. So that's going to be a Bizarro feature, and then also probably the only reason why you should watch this stream is the last Bizarro news clip with the useless farm in Ontario.
Canada.
If you watch anything, watch this video because it's pretty cool. It's got these really crazy animals, funny looking ones like llamas and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the basics. That's the gist of it. And we'll be kicking things off in 7 minutes at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Once again, thanks everybody for the support. We'll see you in a little bit.
Right on.
All right, let me... All right.
All right.
Yeah, I made it back. I was on the road for 32 hours.
On the road again.
And I slept at some rest areas for short periods of time, which was nice.
Yeah.
It really is a beautiful country we live in. Lots of nice
Listen,
rest areas.
North America, we are so lucky living up here because we got room to move. You know, you go to Europe, some of these countries are all boxed in. You know, yeah, well, you ran a bit of snow, a few traffic jams, stuff like that.
Yeah, if unfortunately, or well, wait a minute, fortunately. I was thinking about what I was telling you about earlier, Canuck, those people that got stuck in D.C. for 24 hours. I thought I was going to get stuck in a traffic jam like that, but
oh, really?
Thankfully, that did not happen.
Gridlock, eh? Mm.
And I forgot, I used to live in Atlanta. I forgot how the humidly cold it is. I don't know if that's a real term, but the humidity is just so much stronger down there. And when it gets down to 40, it gets down to 30.
Yeah.
It is an ice box, but it was good.
You made it. You made it. We're live. We're on the air. And like I said in the pre-show, for those of you just tuning in, this was unplanned. A large portion of this show was unplanned, but we try to be as current as possible. And the situation in Kazakhstan got our attention. And so we're going to be talking about people, revolting people all over the world for various reasons. I think that a lot of it ties into economy, but there's a number of specific factors. But we're going to start the show with some breaking news of, once again, Canada is leading the pack a little bit. And also, like to, before you get going into why they're leading the pack in your eyes, I just want to mention that Canada has now legalized the medical use of psychedelic drugs in therapy.
Oh,
so we're kicking it here, baby.
So we'll have a story on that down the road.
Yeah, and this is something that has been studied for over 60 years and it's been proven that in the right applications, even things like MDA and LSD can be used in therapeutic things. Now, when they're used recklessly and in privately with no supervision, it can lead to things like Woodstock. But okay, so what's going on? What do we do good this week?
We're gonna get loony about the digital loony in
We're
Canada.
Gonna go loony, baby. We're gonna see if this thing flies or not. We got a loon, and the loon is going to become digital, and it's different than a Bitcoin because it's regulated by the bank. But educate us, baby. You're the guy.
Well, it's. I mean, it's just basically, the U.S. dollar. You've got the U.S. dollar. It's issued. But with central bank digital currency, it's just a digital form for a state or a country to use as their official form of currency.
That's right.
So if you want to keep up with the times, I guess you have to release a CBDC. Let me switch over to the media viewer. All right, there it is. So I have a newer article here from CoinDesk. Let me see, what is the timestamp on this thing? All right, well, it's November 25th, a little bit old. But this is, I guess, kind of like an editorial. This is from CoinDesk.com. Canada needs a Looney-linked digital currency. And Looney, Canuck, I guess you should give a little history behind, like what. So Looney is what in Canada?
Why do we call our dollar a loony? Okie dokie. Well, the Bank of Canada made some significant changes here in the Dominion of Canada, which is a sovereign nation with its own currency and everything. And one of the things they did was they got rid of the penny. So let's say something costs 7 cents, they make it 5, and if it costs 8 cents, they make it 10. But they also got rid of the folding dollar, and they came out with a coin. And on the back of the coin, being Canada, we honored one of our sacred animals, and they chose not a beaver, but a loon, which is like a bird, right? So we called them loonies. And then you'll love this one. They came out with a $2 coin. What do you think we call the $2 coin? A toonie.
No.
So we got loonies and toonies.
Don't do it to me. Don't. You're killing me.
Come on. This is Canada. This is our currency, dude. We call our currency Looney Toonies.
Looney Toonies. Looney Tunes.
What can I say? So now, okay, go on with the article, but it seems to me that it's something that will give people a way to pay digitally without having to use a credit card. They can use a wallet that has a digital.
Which I think would be better if it's done well, so you maybe keep people out of debt. But policy think tank CD Howe Institute sees Canadian dollar linked to stable coins issued by the Bank of Canada becoming attractive to Canadians by making them convertible into cash. I'm not sure how they're going to. Well, I guess we'll find out eventually. But what stable coins they're going to be using? Bank of Canada should issue a central bank digital currency that can be converted into a loonie, the colloquial term for the Canadian dollar, as the Canuck has stated. And as cryptocurrencies grow in popularity, a new report by CD Howe Institute said. There's a link there. You can check it out in the show notes. Let me just post the show notes. Let me just switch back real quick.
One of the advantages that I think it's the same article, but it pointed out that merchants, it can take between 2 and 6 weeks for them to get the money from a credit card transaction. But this would be instantaneous, which it's cost the Canadian retail industry $6.2 billion a year on having to wait to get paid by Visa, MasterCard, American Express, etc. And it's more a debit card than a credit card. So it's more like you got to have the money to get the thing in the first place. It's like cash. It's digital cash, right? And is that correct? Basically?
Yeah, that's correct. From what I understand.
Okay, well, that sounds so friggin' logical. I mean, that's like a no-brainer, isn't it?
So the stable coin, this is more from CoinDesk, is a type of cryptocurrency whose value is tied to an asset such as the U.S. dollar or gold to stabilize the price. So I'm wondering what are they going to do? Multiple stable coins? Who knows? But that'll be interesting to see how they set up the stable coin aspect of things.
Right on.
Such a feat by the Bank of Canada will require any potential stable coins to be well designed and regulated to make them attractive to Canadians, Zelmer and Chronic wrote. The digital currency should also be issued in token form with decentralized technology for settling transactions, which means blockchain. Allowing Canadians to retain most of the benefits of a paper currency. But that's the basics of it, and I think it's going to be...
It's a transition, really. It more than a real fundamental change in the system, it would seem to me, because the Canadian dollar is still going to be the Canadian dollar, you know.
They may even issue the CBDC, then they may even have a corresponding app or something. That would definitely help things if they could create an app, and then that allows people to manage their CBDC holdings, things like that. Yeah. You could see that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And I'm sure that the United States, at the federal level, is talking with Canada behind closed doors.
Well, what would be the resistance? Why wouldn't they do something like this? So you say the big banks don't like it, or the credit card companies don't like it? That's for sure. You know, because people
I think the reason why the U.S. federal government is going to be the last to issue a CBDC is because of the big banks, where you don't have that problem in Canada. It's a smaller population. There's less attention, worldwide attention.
And there's more cohesiveness between the banks, the government, and the people. The banks aren't as predatory in general. Canadians aren't as predatory. It's a social thing. I mean, we call our money loonies and toonies. So what can I say?
I mean, once Canada releases it, U.S. federal government's obviously going to be analyzing everything about it. So I think they're really going to be looking at what Canada does, and they'll learn from that, and we'll probably be the last. I don't know if they'll be the last country, but they'll be. How many countries are there? I think there's at least 120, right? So I think the U.S. Fed will probably be like 100 on the list.
Really? That late in the game.
Maybe.
Interesting.
We got to see. It's going to be somewhere between 50 and 100, I think.
I would think that it might enhance the Canadian dollar's profile because people would have a digital way to invest in Canadian currency. Because our currency goes up and down with the winds pretty much, but in general, it's by world standards, it's quite stable. So that might be an impact that gets people's attention if the Canadian dollar all of a sudden gets more valuable because it's staying up to date with technology. That's going to put more pressure on the United States. But it's as you pointed out, it's much more difficult to get anything done in the States. You've got like marijuana laws. Majority of the states have loosened the law, but it's still a federal crime. And trying to get it to unfederal crime is this whole complicated thing. Whereas in Canada, we got a new prime minister, Skateboard Justin. He came in. One of the first things he did was, "Hey, I got an idea. Everybody's going to like this one. Okay, pot's legal. How do you like me so far?"
Yeah, these states, there's a lot of states, and
it's hard
the
to do.
The federal government definitely falls behind on a lot of things. But we got Sour D in the chat.
Sour D, rock on, baby.
Any word, I believe any word stating a very fitting name. I'm sure that the digital, that's in reference to the digital loony that is coming to Canucks everywhere.
Well, come on up. Come on up, man. Trade in your greenbacks.
We'll move on to this article from Axios.com. World leaves behind the U.S. on central bank digital currencies. There's a nifty little map here, so we're going to check it out. It's maybe hard to view for mobile users, even tablet users, but if you're on a desktop. Anyway, we've got the links in the show notes. The basics are all of U.S. is in a research phase. You've got Russia, development phase. China, I guess so. They're considering China's issuing of their digital yuan as a pilot. And launched some countries in Western Africa where it's been launched. And that's it. I'm going to have to find, it doesn't, it's near, so it's east of Ivory Coast. I'll have to check out which country that is. I'm not very good with all those countries in Africa. I have to get better at that.
We're going to have to go there.
Yeah, we're going to have to go there because according to this map, this country in Western Africa is the only country on the planet that has launched a CBDC.
Really?
And yeah, so basically Canada's in development, so that's step above research. And inactive. I don't know what inactive means. Got a bunch of research to do on this. But inactive means it's not happening.
Hey man, you want to see inactive? Come on, my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, people are so inactive. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I live in a really laid back area of a really laid back country. Let's put it that way.
So let's see why it matters. While the U.S. is still in the research phase, 39 countries have advanced to development, pilot programs, or actual launches. The Federal Reserve and Treasury Department. I think that may be Nigeria. Somebody can help me out there. This one here on this edge, inner edge of Western Africa. Because we reported on that on a past stream. So the Federal Reserve and Treasury Department could be weighing in on global standards and technologies. In the absence of that, countries are figuring it out for themselves, and we may or may not like what they end up figuring out. Josh Lipsky, director at the Atlantic Council's Geoeconomic Center, tells Axios. Now, in my mind, U.S. petrodollar, U.S. dollar, its strength is at risk with all these countries issuing their own CBDC. So we'll see.
Well, that's probably factoring in too. I can imagine there's a lot of players that don't want to see this transition, but it seems so logically and inevitable.
Yeah, that is Nigeria. So that little that one country. So according to this map, Nigeria is the only country on the planet that has launched a CBDC. Now, there's also El Salvador that's, in theory, is issued Bitcoin as
right. I've read
like
that.
legal tender at the state level. Isn't that considered a central bank digital currency? Maybe not. Maybe that's not
I
good
don't
enough.
think so.
But
no, man. I mean, that's
it's not the
just
same
organized.
thing. But still, it is a digital currency.
That places a little bit on the El Salvador. Yeah. Not on my vacation list right now.
No, you're not. You don't plan on going to El Salvador?
I'm not planning on retiring to El Salvador. No, I definitely not. Okay, well, that's interesting.
Australia's in development.
Australia.
I just that's strange. Is Saudi Arabia right here in pilot?
Anywhere says CBDC is a nothing burger. Okay.
Yeah, it may turn out to be. Who knows?
I've never had a nothing burger. It's not like when you order.
I don't want a nothing burger. I want my.
I
want all the crypto I have right now. I don't want a CBDC.
A nothing burger must be just the burger and the bun with nothing on it, and no onions in the burger. Okay, whatever. Thanks. Hey, keep it up, Anywhere. We always listen to you, baby. Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think Anywhere is onto something. CBDC.
Well, he's onto all kinds of stuff, man.
They may turn into the biggest nothing burger ever. So.
Well, that's why we do this show. I mean, we're not sure of any of this stuff. That's why we do it. I mean, if we knew what was going on, if we acted like we knew what was going on, we'd be as popular as the popular guy. But no, we're inquisitive.
Whoa.
We're curious.
Oh, this is the main site.
Hey, I got ice cream and lemons.
It's 4:17. I think it's time.
Restricted.
We're gonna be doing the world protests, and
all right.
All of these videos have big disclaimers when they start.
Yeah.
For viewer discretion advised. So we're gonna X-tag the stream here on DLive. We'd also like to thank DLive for all their support through the years.
And all these videos are posted on YouTube or came from YouTube. We'd like to thank YouTube officially, and we are on YouTube as well. Thank you, YouTube.
Indeed. Let me get the. It's hard to keep a straight face. It's hard to keep a straight face. All right, so I'm X-tagging the stream. It's category updating to news, and
that's pretty
I am
cool,
saving
actually.
it.
I haven't done anything X-rated for years.
We got Jack Bug 1344 in the chat saying I can dip DLive in a heartbeat. LOL. So
yo, baby.
All right.
I'm not sure what that means, but okay.
I think I got the gist of it. So let's get started. Kazakhstan, this is serious stuff. This is crazy.
All right, I'm going to post a question to our viewers to think about. Have you ever been in a street protest and gotten tear gassed or otherwise, personally?
So that's for the chat. Have you ever been in a protest and been tear gassed, right?
Or associated, whatever.
Right.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start with the breaking news. This just came down. It surprised a lot of people. Some people saw it coming, but it actually went down so fast. It involves a country that's the size of Western Europe. It's rich in minerals. It is key to China with their Silk Road initiative. It is more key to Russia. It used to be part of the Soviet Union, the USSR. Because of this incident, Russian troops have gone back in. We've got a bunch of videos. The first one that I think we should play is from PBS. You can play the whole thing. I think it's only 3 minutes. This gives more or less the American perspective and also mentions some of the multi-international companies that could be affected by this situation.
Do you have the YouTube code, like the ZHEVC, the tag?
Yeah, it's YouTube AVCPHH4.
Oh, 4 at the end? Let me see if this comes up.
Today, Kazakhstan...
Yeah, this looks like PBS. Yeah, PBS New Hour. All right, so what are we doing here? Not doing 4 minutes. What are we doing? Like,
do it until you get bored. It's all pretty good.
All right, rock and roll.
The president promised to shoot to kill protesters after a week of demonstrations. Kazakhstan lies at the strategic crossroads of Russia, China, and Central Asia, and has large energy reserves with billions invested by American companies. Despite that wealth, many Kazakhs live in poverty. And as Nick Schifrin reports, economic frustrations are boiling over into demands to upend the country's authoritarian politics.
In western Kazakhstan, the protest became a revolt. Protesters chant Shalket, old man out, a reference to 81-year-old Nursultan Nazarbayev, who's helped lead Kazakhstan since independence 30 years ago, and is the symbol of a corrupt elite whom demonstrators tried to topple. They rallied to target a system they say enriches political cronies and neglects the people.
You have to understand what has happened here. The coiled spring has now been unleashed after 30 years.
Kazakhstan is wealthy, but technically it's listed as a lower middle income country, and the actual day-to-day incomes of the majority of the population, it's really quite low.
Richard Hoagland is a former U.S. ambassador to Kazakhstan and is now at the Caspian Policy Institute.
Most of the money has gone into a very few pockets, and those tend to be the pockets of the oligarchs and the pockets of the Nazarbayev extended family.
Nazarbayev stepped down as president in 2019, but as the so-called father of the nation, installed current President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev as his successor. Tokayev recently increased the price of fuel, sparking protests in western Kazakhstan earlier this week. That ignited a political flame. In the cultural capital, Almaty, they stormed government buildings. By Thursday, the mayor's office and the presidential residence both burned out. Authorities turned violent. Police said they, quote, liquidated more than 24 protesters. Over multiple days, demonstrators attacked police, burned police cars, and authorities say they killed more than 18 cops, at least one by beheading. President Tokayev called the protesters foreign terrorists, cut off the internet, and today told police to shoot to kill.
The militants have not laid down their arms. The fight against them must be pursued to the end. Whoever does not surrender will be destroyed.
And now, for the first time, an alliance of post-Soviet states deployed militarily, and Russian troops are in a neighbor considered the region's most stable country. Today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken questioned the need for Russia's presence.
Kazakh authorities and government certainly have the capacity to deal appropriately with protests, to do so in a way that respects the rights of protesters while maintaining law and order. Once Russians are in your house, it's sometimes very difficult to get them to leave.
So he's referencing the old Soviet bloc. I think from the U.S. military standpoint, that's their concern.
Well,
right?
They're very concerned about this, and also the United States has been making inroads with cultural and economic activity in that country, as well as China has, and this pretty much throws a wrench in the work. Now, this next video, you don't have to play the whole thing, but I wanted to play some of it just to show what a mob can do, and also respectfully disagree with the spokesman from the United States government that the Kazakhstan government had resources to deal with it, because I'm pretty sure it's in this video, but it just shows the police being completely overwhelmed and back down, and they were not in good shape. So yeah, the same thing with this one, Yankee. Just play it until you get bored.
This is. I'm thinking it's this one. Let me see.
It's AKA 4.
Is this from Global News? Kazakhstan protest violence erupts as Russia paratroopers brought in to quell uprising?
Yeah, it's violent.
What do you want to do? First 2 minutes?
Yeah, do it until you get bored. A couple minutes of it anyway. It's pretty powerful stuff, especially the Rex. But it also is going to show the police.
Warning, video contains violent content.
Yep.
Not suitable for all viewers, so don't watch if that's an issue. All right? All right, so let's do it.
Give it a try. Yeah, there's no voiceover, so I just wanted to show the images. There's quite a mixed, motley group of protesters. So I think this is more of a revolt than a revolution. It's not something that's really organized, but look at the damage. Burn down government buildings like that. Just kind of strikes fear in the establishment. There you go. Yeah, so it just goes on with a bunch of burnt out buildings and stuff like that.
We got so anywhere it says now war on the other hand. Oh, Jack Bug says if I ever go to a protest, I'll bring bear spray. Though for sure, I might have to pick up some bear spray myself. Anywhere it says
what I got for what I got instead of bear spray? I got a Winchester 30-30, but I got real bears. Yeah, I don't know if that video showed up, but there is a video, and they were really overwhelmed, and a lot of destruction happened. Now, this next one is what it looks like now. After the Soviets have come in, the Russians, I should say, who are not, apparently they're securing the airport. Like later in this video, they show the airport's on fire. There's guns. You can watch the whole video. It's really scary. And we encourage our listeners and viewers to go back into the show notes and watch the whole videos. It's just we try to limit this show to an hour or so we don't play the whole thing. But this one, Al Jazeera, YouTube, XJM, you can play the whole thing. It just shows what it looks like today. And there's some pretty good sound effects in it, too.
All right, I'm going to let it roll.
Calm has returned to the center of Almaty, though the signs of violence are everywhere. On Republic Square, scene of the worst of the clashes, security forces have retaken control of gutted government buildings. But there have been food shortages and queues at cash machines and petrol stations, with residents venturing out only for essentials.
At night, when we hear explosions, I'm scared. It pains me to know that young people are dying.
We are scared not just for ourselves, but for our children and other people's children. We never expected such things could happen, especially in Almaty.
Gunfire could still be heard on Friday as military units raced through Almaty's streets. In the eastern city of Taldykorgan, where a statue of the first president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, was pulled down, the euphoria has now evaporated. A police loudspeaker warns people to stay indoors while an anti-terror operation gets underway. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev has shown little sympathy for the protesters or calls for calm.
There have been calls abroad for the parties to move the negotiations to a peaceful resolution. What nonsense! What kind of negotiations can there be with criminals, with murderers? We had to deal with armed and trained bandits, both local and foreign.
The claim, without evidence, that protesters are foreign-backed terrorists was the pretext to invite the Moscow-led security bloc to send in its forces. 3,600 CSTO soldiers, most of them Russian peacekeepers, are being deployed. democracy activists have expressed dismay that their calls for change have gone unheard. The banner reads, "We are citizens, not terrorists." Peaceful demonstrations are still taking place. This is Zhanaozen in the west of Kazakhstan. But legitimate protests now risk being stamped out by a shoot-to-kill policy. Robin Forestier Walker, Al Jazeera.
All right. So we're going to do the second Al Jazeera video. Actually, let me just get it queued up.
Calm.
Your mic, Canuck.
Oh, sorry about
there
that. Yeah, this woman from Al Jazeera, I thought she was very articulate in describing some of the situations as far as the geopolitical repercussions to do with Russia and also China in this whole situation. The whole thing is well worth looking at, but she kind of encapsulated a couple things. And from 12:25, if you want to start it and run it for 2 minutes.
We got Jack Boog in the chat. I unsubbed to them. They seem like shills too. LOL. I'm not sure who you're referencing there.
Who knows? We eat bears.
We eat bears. LOL. And
I ate a bear once. Yeah.
Also, that fire could cause a building collapse. Yeah, no doubt.
No, definitely. Yeah.
Governments don't give up power once they have it. Oh, Al Jazeera. So
yeah.
Jack Boog. So what is it about Al Jazeera that you don't like? You just don't trust them as a news source? You think they're maybe backed by Middle Eastern countries or something?
Well, they are actually, but
I mean,
that's beside the point. Whatever. They're pretty decent. At least they cover world news. And you watch like the American news, and there's a little bit of world news, but it's so. Anyhow,
yeah,
this is pretty good.
I think they're decent. I mean, for what I know that their backing is Middle Eastern, but unfortunately, especially in the U.S., I mean, there aren't many news outlets that cover anything outside of the United States. They don't do it very well, if they even do it at all. So
yeah, well, that's just it.
You just take everything that you see, Al Jazeera, whatever, with a grain of
salt. Here at Variant News, we look at everything, okay? I mean, we go with we listen to the left, the right, we listen to this show and that show and the people from Qatar and, whatever. And then we try our best to give you what we think is reliable information. Then you figure it out and let us know, okay?
Yeah. Let us know.
If you figure any of this out, we'd like to hear from you because we can't figure it out. We're reporters. It's called journalism, all right? So anyway,
this Al Jazeera video I have loaded up is 26 minutes.
Yeah, and I just 12:25 for 2 minutes. All right.
All right, let's do it.
This one is good.
Situation we have today.
Teresa,
you can also understand what she's saying. People, if you get on interview, please enunciate a little bit.
Right. So, Canuck, that one of your things for 2022 is for people to enunciate better.
Well, yeah, if you're going to broadcast,
I think that's important. Yeah, you bring up a
even if you're sitting at the dining room table and say, "Pass the mashed potatoes." Pass the mashed potatoes.
What about all those hip hop mumble rappers? What about them? They wouldn't have a future.
What about them? Send them to Rikers.
Oh man.
No, don't.
Mumble rap hopefully will die in 2022. That's another prediction I'm throwing out there. All right, so let's keep going.
In Kazakhstan, or was the region and the world taken completely by surprise?
Yeah, 12:25. If you can find it, you win the
protests
prize
for
of the
years
day.
now, and we've seen the current government has made pledges to do reforms, and it's been kind of simmering around. The government hasn't made the reforms that it has promised, and I think that this was just the last straw on the camel's back when they doubled the price of fuel. And it was shocking how fast it went across the entire country. We're talking about a country the size of Western Europe. So this happened so rapidly. There has been speculation since there's been an outage, the internet, that always leads to rumors. And as my previous colleague mentioned, this idea of Nazarbayev, there are all sorts of rumors circulating that he even fled to China. So it's unclear what's going on there. It's not perhaps just the protesters, but maybe agent provocateurs. We don't know. It's a lot of speculation, but it was so serious that they had to call in Russia quickly, and Russia didn't dither. They immediately came in. And from footage I've seen, they've sent 75 planes, military planes in, carrying tanks and all sorts of serious defense equipment into the country. So I think that the stakes are very high, and because of this news blackout, we're not really clear of what's happening, but they've been key to try to show the world and possible investors and countries that have already invested in Kazakhstan that they've got a grip on things and that everything is calming down. So that's the key message that they need to get out.
Chulpan, let me ask you, the fact that former President Nazarbayev...
all right, so we got a lot of videos, but that's that there. Again, second video from Al Jazeera. I think one thing that I'm saying, well, that's obvious, right? Russian troops have gone in.
They're there.
And
they're not going to leave, I don't think, right?
And that's well known, but it's not known what the CCP is doing. What is China doing? What's the CCP doing?
That's a good darn question, because
they don't know.
That. They don't know. This is all so breaking. We're covering something that's only like 72, maybe 96 hours old. And it's thrown things off, and Putin, oh, he's a happy puppy. He's like getting his baby back, and he didn't have to do nothing because they asked him in, they asked him in, and 17 military trains. And I'll bet you those trains are serious. Like, you saw Dr. Zhivago, right? Back then, they loved their trains, dude. Trains, rock and roll, man. So, yeah, we don't need to play the second part of this. It does go into the China situation, but basically, she says they don't know, like we said. Now, just as a quick mention, before we move on to some other countries, I think what she said at the beginning was a lot of it. The frustration a lot comes from being promised reforms. Being promised is dangerous, right? Because when you promise somebody something, they bring expectations, and then they don't get them, and then they get mad. And people are mad, right? And this is all over the world. People are mad. Do you want to move on to the other videos? I think we.
Just finish up.
We'll keep you all up to date as it happens.
We're going to try to follow this best we can. I want to take a look at the CCP angle, because the CCP has been doing
we'll cover that.
A lot in Mongolia, but
we'll know next week.
The only thing, there's a huge battle between Russia and China.
I think the two things we'll touch on next week in particular would be the effect on China, but also the effect on multinational corporations that are now have been invested in Kazakhstan, oil companies in particular, and Borat. We're going to try to get Borat on the show. You got his number, right?
Borat? Boris?
Borat. He's from Kazakhstan. Borat.
All right, okay. All right, yes.
Come on, the guy that exposed Judy.
I'll get on the red phone or something. I'll show it again.
Somebody out there must know him. Come on, we want him on the show. He's a Kazakhstani, and they didn't like him at first, but then after he made a whole bunch of money, was successful. They said he was okay, but I don't know if he's going to go back to his home country right now. All right, so we can move on if you want. I got a few other countries.
We've got
variety,
a lot of countries,
time.
So we're not going to do all of them in the show notes, but we can move on to the Congo. You want to do that?
Let's do the Congo. Only 1 minute and 20 seconds from the beginning. And
this one's 2 minutes. I got 2. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes, but just cut it off after.
Let me see what this other one is. This one's a minute. This one's a minute 42. They're both real quick. Let's see if we can.
No, I'll just play.
Actually, let's do the first one, and then we'll move on to the next country in the world.
Well, we're going to do index 15. Index equal 15. Is that the one? Oh wait, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We can. There's a 16 in Congo. Index 16. You want to do that?
I don't know.
We'll do that one. That one's 2 minutes. We'll belt it out. We'll see how it goes.
Sure. There's that content thing. I mean. Yeah, unpaid wages, break windows. Live ammunition.
Le gouvernement congolais devait nous donner 207 millions. Nous avons pour les autres 32 mois d'impayement. Pour les anciens, c'est 42 mois d'impayement. C'est inexplicable.
What?
Is that French or something else?
Yeah, probably French, yeah. Or, yeah, Belgium, Congo, so French is dominant language in Belgium.
Regardez-moi, 61 ans, 42 ans de service à l'ONATRA. Je n'étais même pas parmi les jeunes gens qui étaient venus. C'est quelle police qui ne sait pas respecter les gens? C'est quel pays ça?
Combien d'arriérés de salaire?
36 mois. 36 mois. 36 mois.
Show me the money.
So on strike since October 15th.
Yeah.
So
yeah, America's had its share of union situations, and back in the day in particular.
Well, you got the history of colonialism in Africa, but now you have in the modern era you have now the CCP. It's been all over Africa, and I've seen
with the investments, yeah.
Recently in the Congo, a lot of the Chinese that are there are the CCPs telling them to, seek refuge or what have you. They're moving them either out of the Congo or to safe havens in the Congo. Because basically CCP is doing the same thing that colonialism did for centuries.
Yeah.
Trying to take the resources.
Yeah, they're just using money as the backdoor channel more than outright military presence. They flexing their dollars figures. All right, this next one is from Belgrade, and back in Eastern Europe. And this has to do with multinationals coming in and environmental laws, but it is an economic situation. Index 5, I think.
This one is Index 7. It's the only. No, this is Index 6. This is the only one I had on Belgrade. This should be the right one.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason, my numbers aren't right here. That's okay, as long as it's working.
Posle ovog danas treba da zna svako ko god da je na vlasti u ovoj državi, da neće moći da otima ljudima zemlju, vodu i da im truje vazduh.
Pa naravno izlazimo, životna sredina je najbitnije političko pitanje. Nije u redu da se i mladi ljudi ograđuju od politike. Politika je sve oko nas, a životna sredina posebno, tako da naravno Rio Tinto i sve druge korporacije takve, protiv svega toga smo.
China mining company taking resources.
Kad sam video snimke iz Španije, iz Indije,
Yeah.
iz raznih zemalja Nove Gvineje, šta rade tamo i kako je stanje posle Rio Tinta i kakva je priroda, to jest ne priroda faktički, posle Rio Tinta.
Rio Tinto. They're here too, in Canada. They're all over.
Ovo je direktan povod, ali naravno svih ovih 10 godina koji živimo u zarobljenoj državi, u zadavljenom pravosuđu, u institucijama koje su paralisane voljom jednog čoveka i konačno, evo, Srbija se probudila i mi svi zajedno idemo do pobede, nema nazad.
Blocking a highway.
Yeah. That's a favorite
Rio
trip.
Tinto? What is that?
I'd say it's a mining company, huge mining company. I don't know where they're based, but they're everywhere. They're in Canada. They're in South America. They do not have a good track record environmentally. Very invasive.
Based out of where, do you know?
I'm not sure. I should have looked it up, but they're based out of everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they got. They all over the globe, but
they're very, very predatory, and they have very little disregard. What seems to be coming on the theme here is that in both those last two videos, the people are frustrated because the government's not listening to them. You know, Colombia, it's the same situation. You can play a couple minutes of this one if you want. Violent protesters were across Colombia.
This is out of global news again?
Yeah, it's all out of global news. Posted to YouTube.
Batavia, Colombia, Facte.
Global News, Canadian news organization, for those of you who didn't know. Licensed, certified, all that nifty stuff.
We'll do a couple minutes of this?
Yeah, a couple minutes at the most. Some more people running
it's
around.
It's all economic.
Pretty much.
Economic climate.
I mean, people are just
And
the cops. I mean, they're trying to deal with this situation. But that's mobs. That's a mob situation.
Cali, Colombia.
Yeah, that's the old cocaine capital. Probably still is. Wonder how many of those people are on coke.
See, well, you can. There's nothing wrong with chewing like a coca leaf or something like that.
Listen.
Enfrentando situaciones de vandalismo
I
que se
don't
presentan en algunas ciudades de Colombia, obstaculizaciones que atenten contra la ciudadanía. Hemos también desplegado capacidades.
And put the recreational into your use. Do it as a recreational item, not as a lifestyle.
Y que entendamos que en el momento que se está viviendo no podemos atentar contra la vida de toda la sociedad, no podemos atentar contra la vida de un solo ciudadano, no podemos poner en riesgo la salud.
Ante la no escucha, la falta
Bogotá's the capital, right?
a las peticiones de todo el movimiento político, social y sindical, nosotros decidimos mantenernos hoy en las calles. Además, porque tenemos unas situaciones de represión, de violación de derechos humanos en todo el territorio. Y ante eso estamos exigiendo al gobierno nacional no solo que retire la reforma tributaria, sino que respete la protesta social, que no maquille hechos aislados como si fuera lo que pasó ayer, cuando realmente se movilizó durante todo el día gran parte del pueblo colombiano.
En este momento se atienden 87 uniformados en clínicas de diferentes ciudades del país. Estos presentan fracturas, lesiones con objetos contundentes y explosivos no convencionales, otros heridas abiertas y traumas en diferentes partes del cuerpo.
Statues. I've seen that in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, you know, I just want to officially say that I do not advocate violence. And it's sad to see people pushed to this point of having to act this way. As much as I understand their frustrations, the protests I was involved with were very nonviolent and designed to be that way. And when we move on to the next one, the one from India, that's something that I haven't any violence connected to that I know of. And the India thing, to let you know, it has to do with the farmers in India, and the government wanted to change the system of farm distribution of food, and it basically would have ended up being that the small farms, which is the majority of India, 2 to 5 acre small farms, it would have been basically thrown into complete chaos, and large corporations, agribusiness would be able to move in. The only reason agribusiness hasn't moved in largely in India is because of this law that was going to be repealed. And there was protests all over the world, including Vancouver, which has an inordinately large Sikh and Indian population living there.
So we got anywhere in the chat with some or description on Rio Tinto. It's an Anglo-Australian multinational company.
Nice.
Founded in 1873 when a multinational consortium of investors purchased a mine complex on the Rio Tinto in Huelva, Spain, from the Spanish, and then it gets cut off. D-Live chat is absolutely horrible. It's worse than Twitter. Why? I mean, you only get, what do you get, like 110 characters or something? 120, I don't know. Just a suggestion. Maybe I'll put that in the D-Live feedback suggestion that this should allow at least 250 characters.
They're listening right now, so hey. D-Live, baby, come on.
D-Live, can you increase the...
I don't know about the average view of your average show, but also rather intelligent. They can't just state their rather complicated and in-depth analysis of our situations in that many few characters. Thank you very much. Going back to India. I love India. I went to India. I spent 3 months in India as a 17-year-old as part of the World Council of Churches Youth Immersion Program. And you have to go there. You can't describe the place. It's so different. The religion is so different. Everything's different. But some of the issues are global, and this is one of them. And agribusiness is a huge issue. We covered it extensively in our food segments in whatever month that was. September? Yeah, September. If you want to go back, you want to go to Rumble, you can listen to us there. But yeah, India is pretty cool. I don't know how much of this video you want to play. You can just play a little bit of it.
I just want to mention in the chat, Jackbug1344 asks, you guys streaming on just D-Live right now? We're streaming on D-Live, float.app, which is not very well known, small platform, and Trovo, Twitch. We are live on YouTube. I don't know how long that's going to last, and those are the main ones.
Nice. Hey, we're doing the best we can. And we really want to thank anybody that's watching, whether you're watching live today, watching a rebroadcast, or you're watching a replay. Thank you. And please hit follow. Please share us. You know, I mean...
Yeah, show us some love.
This Variant News is us. It's myself, the Yankee, and one of the founders, Jacob, is still involved.
Founder.
And we're not making no money. You know, like we're not trying to make no money. It'd be nice. You want to send us some money, we'll take it. But what we need is your support. And you're supporting us by watching right now. So thank you very much. You got the India video?
Yeah, I got it loaded up. Indian farmers staged nationwide protests against agriculture reforms. Once again, obviously from Global News.
Yep.
we have participated in the Bandh. If Modi continues this reluctance, they delay, they are not denying to withdrawing the act, the struggle will continue and intensify further. जो कानून किसान नहीं चाहते वो जबरदस्ती उन पर जो थोपना चाहते हैं उसके खिलाफ में ये आंदोलन है और जब तक ये आंदोलन नहीं है का कृषि कानून वापस रहेंगे तब तक ये आंदोलन जारी रहेगा.
You gotta love India.
I know it, baby. And when I said no violence, it wasn't. What I meant was they're not burning down buildings, they're not destroying cars. Of course, there was confrontations with the authorities. Anybody that's watched the movie Gandhi knows what that's like. But yeah, you see almost the joyousness in their expression. You know, and determined. Believe me, once these people get a cause like this.
खत्म कराने के लिए हमारा
देशव्यापी प्रोग्राम है और सारे देश में बड़ी सफलतापूर्वक से चल रहा है.
So what is it? So basics of it that what is it that so they open
right now,
they're allowing them to
they want to privatize. Right now the state runs the food buying business essentially. And so the farmers are guaranteed a proper amount for what they sell to whoever's going to sell it to the people, right? And what the concern is from the farmer standpoint, as soon as you open that up to free competition, that they're going to be out of business because the big guys are just going to undersell them.
Yeah.
And when they take their produce, let's say they don't grow that much extra food. I mean, they grow for themselves and then they trade between themselves. Then they got some leftovers. They take it basically like going to the bank. So let's say they got a bag of something, whatever, rice or something. And they get around there and the government gives them like $3 and then somebody eventually sells it for $4 or $5. But the problem is that if it's an open thing, it's going to be open bidding and they might get $1 for it, or they might not take anything for it because it opens it up. So essentially, it's just really, and India is still a village-based country. Even when, like in Calcutta, when I was there, it was pointed out to me that Calcutta's more a grouping of about 1,500 or 15,000 villages, small villages, and they ethnically in the status that they are in the caste system and economics and everything. They're still like a bunch of villages all stuffed together in a city. So that's the essence of the country is still very rural and agrarian. And there is a push to westernize, but a lot of people kind of like it the way it is. It's simple. It's like you and I were discussing earlier. And sometimes when you have the least, there's some of the best days you can have because it's like Janis Joplin would say, when you got nothing to lose, sort of thing. I mean, I'm not advocating that. I don't want it. But
so basically they were getting a set price from the government and now that's open market and it's fluctuating hard.
It has not been instituted and the government keeps saying they're going to take it away. But the reason this demonstration happened was that the government keeps delaying taking it away. They're hanging it over their heads. So it's an ongoing situation. Now,
that's been going on for a while.
This next one is pure economics. This one's really good, Don. These people are they're taken to the streets seriously. And this is a dangerous country to be doing this in. Cuba is not known for putting up with this kind of malfeasance or whatever you want to call it, havoc, anarchy, whatever, and Cuba, that's a strange situation down there. It really is.
What is the?
This is just pure news. Yeah, this is pure frustration. This is like not one particular thing, like the India thing. This is like we are really getting fed up with this.
Well, the embargo in the U.S. I mean, where is it at? I haven't looked at recently.
Well, it's still there. It's still there, and it's still crippling the economy.
What is taking so long? It should have been lifted long ago.
I don't know. Phone your friend Joe.
Okay. I'll work on that.
Come on, you're going to Washington. You're closer to it than I am.
I wasn't able to. I drove around Washington D.C. This time, but next time I'm going to go into the heart of D.C.
Cuba could be doing better in a lot of areas, particularly human rights and freedoms. Also, it could be doing better economically. There are countries like the one I live in. We can go there. I got friends on vacation there all the time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like so many people from the U.S. go to Cuba, and then they bring back the good cigars and everything. I mean, it's just.
You can go to Cuba now, but you have to have an excuse. Like you got to be going to a conference or some business-related type of thing, but not recreational travel, from the best of my understanding. Whereas Canadians can go there with no big deal. I think you got to get a visa, and apparently it's a good deal and everything. But the people. So what I'm getting to is the government is blaming it all on America's embargo, but I have the feeling that they could be doing a better job of it, even with the embargo from the United States. So these people are ticked. Let's put it that way.
All right, so let's do. It's 2 minutes around now. Let's do the whole thing, I guess.
This is one of the most aggressive ones that I found, in some ways.
So viewer discretion is advised.
Well, of course it is.
The echoes of the largest revolt in decades still
resonate in the streets of Cuba.
Frustrated, hungry, and terrified residents
no
their
nudity,
anger towards a government they see as having failed the country. This protester says the crowds chanted, "We want medicine, we want food." The island's coffers are empty. There's a critical food shortage, the healthcare system is in shambles, vaccine supply is limited. And after initially blaming America's embargo for the crisis, Cuba's president accepted some responsibility, a rare moment of contrition.
The government, since it is somewhat allergic to doing real change, maybe that's what's happening, that they're seeing their survival at stake here.
The protests, driven by social media, led to an internet shutdown to prevent the world from seeing the chaos. The uprising has fostered fears of a new wave of defections by boat. But freedom, a mere 120 kilometers away, feels impossibly out of reach for most.
If you take to the sea, you will not come to the United States.
The Biden administration is facing mounting pressure from the Cuban exile community to do something.
I don't have anything to predict for you in terms of any policy shift.
The more aggressive in tone that the U.S. responds to this, the greater the degree to which the government in Cuba says, see, this is an excuse for the U.S. to act aggressively.
Ottawa has also been criticized for taking a passive approach to the crisis, but changed its tune on Thursday.
We stand, as we always
skater boy,
with the people of Cuba
looking good,
who want and deserve democracy, freedom, and respect.
It's always cleanly shaven.
The protest did lead to minor concessions, a temporary lift on restrictions, limiting how much food or medicine travelers can bring in, a band-aid solution to an economic meltdown.
Part of what we're seeing is this call for the government to be much more accountable and to essentially say, deal with this or leave, and let somebody else do it.
Even if fractures formed from this historic pushback, the Cuban government is giving no indication it intends to further bend. Reggie Cicchini, Global News, Washington.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I mean, the embargo has been around, since some form or another, since the Cuban Missile Crisis, right?
But correct me if I'm wrong, policy certainly has changed as far as immigration goes, because wasn't at one time we just welcomed all the boat people in, like in Scarface and stuff like that, man.
Well, Miami is a very large Cuban population.
Now the American guy says, if you get in a boat, you ain't coming here. It's like, whoa, okay, well, all right, well, thanks for letting us know. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to start at Scarface when all those guys are coming in on the boat, the rock and roll. Oh man.
Yeah, they came in wave after wave. Back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, right?
Even in
came
60s
in very large numbers. And
60s even. All right. Now, near Cuba, and going a little farther south, we have Peru.
Peru, wow, you're going south there. All right.
Yeah, we're Peruvi, baby.
Peru,
and they all,
I believe we had Cali on there. We had Colombia. I believe some of the cocaine production has shifted to Peru. That's what I've been
oh man,
seeing.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, Peru, dude, Peruvian flag, dog. Like, oh man. No, I don't know anything about cocaine.
But yeah, that's what I've seen.
I used to work in recording.
But
I used to work in recording studios in California, and sometimes it looked like the Great White North with the snowstorms in there. But I stayed away from that stuff, because I'm a clean living kid. But yeah, Peru is really big for coke too. So maybe some of these people were jacked up. I don't know. Let's see. We got another video.
We don't want Athens, Greece. We want Peru. Protest. Farm workers block off major highways demanding better wages.
Yeah. These guys are ticked off too. The whole show's been like mad people going crazy.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Mira mi pie cómo está dislocado. Eso han hecho la policía y los pasajeros. Nosotros estamos en que pie de lucha, que nos escuche el gobierno. ¿Por qué tienen que ser los políticos así?
Han estado ahí parados y el proyectil ha llegado directamente a su cabeza. Y ha llegado y lo ha tirado al suelo.
Es una tragedia. Nosotros no queremos que nadie muera en protestas por defender sus derechos laborales. Va a haber posiblemente alguna circunstancia en la cual en esta situación tan exacerbada se produzca algún tipo de exceso. Pero lo que tiene que tener en mente la ciudadanía que esto no es una política general del gobierno. La política general del gobierno es ante esta situación extrema, en primer lugar, de dialogar, de tratar de establecer acuerdos básicos que resuelvan las demandas legítimas de la ciudadanía. Y mantendremos el diálogo hasta donde sea posible.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the show, personally, I am not taking sides in any of this. I'm just being a journalist. We're pointing out what's going on out there. People can make of it what they want. I mean, part
I
of
think
me...
it's, the pandemic, the shift, there's massive shift economically through every country's economy. And it's all coming up to the surface now.
Yeah, I mean,
and the stimulus gone, whatever. Some countries didn't even have stimulus.
Okay, the countries that we've been covering so far have been in the developing world, right? It seems to me. Congo, Afghanistan, all of them pretty much. But this last one, this is the last one we have, people. We're going to let you off the hook. Enough violence for this weekend. It comes from Berlin, Germany, and Paris, France. Okay? Like, this is Western civilization, right? And I think we're doing pretty good for time. So just play the whole first 3 minutes of this, and then we can move on to...
Yeah, I mean, especially France has been protesting for...
Oh, France. Listen, French Revolution. French Revolution. What? is going on here, in my opinion, it's not the opinion of everybody, obviously, but everybody has their own opinions. A lot of this reminds me of the French Revolution. This is middle class based, essentially. I mean, a lot of it is middle class based. My friend, which I will refer to him as Monsieur T, he's from Montreal, speaks 7 languages, lives all over the world. What he said, amongst other things, was it is an educated, dissatisfied middle class whose job expectations are thwarted that causes revolutions. And I think that's a lot of it. Really poor people don't cause this stuff. If you look at these videos, these people all are generally well-dressed and stuff like that, and generally educated. So it's a middle-class revolt. And that leads me back to France, which leads me back to, as Marie Antoinette so eloquently said, when told that the people had no bread to eat, she said, well, then let them eat cake. And so she figured that, well, that's what I do. If we're out of bread, I just eat cake.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
France.
What's the problem?
And boy, that was an ugly one, with the guillotines and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, bad news. All right. From Germany and France, the wrap to the first annual Canuck and Yankee People's Rebellion Report for 2022.
No doubt. 2022 is.
Boy, what a year this has been. It's been crazy.
Riot.
This year has been nuts, but I like it. It's exciting. All right. Roll them. Roll another one. Just like the other one. Yeah, it goes on for a while. They burn a bunch more stuff, and people freak out.
Well, I don't know. In France, a lot of it's around the passport stuff.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, if you start going through it, we covered on the economic stuff today, but there's been protests over COVID vaccines. There's been protests over all kinds. Like, we had a riot here in Canada, in the city of Vancouver. And you know why? It's because the hockey team lost a game. So they had a riot. So that's where, I look at the people in these things, and I wonder how many of them really understand the issue. This guy that's being played right now looks like he understands what's going on. But I think a lot of them, maybe not the majority, but a lot of them are just, they're having fun. They're just punks. They're punks. And that's what my Monsieur T was saying. It's just disenfranchised young people that cause a lot of the damage. If you look at, like, say, the India protests, generally rather controlled and respectful, and elders and stuff like that involved. And same thing here in British Columbia with the old forts protests. The defenders of the forests are not burning things down. They're getting arrested. The violence has been coming from the RCMP. It's not been coming from the protesters. So it's a big thing. And I think we said at the beginning of the show, we're not trying to make too many judgments on all this. It's just straight journalism, people. So take it for what it's worth. But it's happening, and it's going to continue to happen, and it's not going to get. It's not going to get better.
Also, so yeah, obviously there'll be continued stuff.
And there'll be outside instigators. There'll be outside instigators that come in. That happened in the United States with the peace movement. They had outside instigators that came in and created havoc. One of the infamous pictures of the Chicago police riot was somebody throwing some rocks at the police. It turns out later that person was an FBI operative who had been planted, agent provocateur, to create violence, to give the police a chance. So this situation will be abused, particularly in more repressive states, to justify actions. And many times those actions were perpetrated by people that were actually working for them. The term is called agent provocateur. If you have not read Machiavelli, then you better, because otherwise you have no idea what I'm talking about.
And I think moving forward, there'll be continued issues with pandemic spreading, and then also climate change. Those, I think, are going to be the two big things. And
it's climate
change, I'm going to be wanting to monitor a lot.
Freedom of speech,
what they're going to
climate change,
continue to regulate, what consumers, individuals, what they're allowed to, energy sources, devices they can use, things along those lines. Your house, on the one hand, a lot of these governments, just in states in the U.S., they are definitely promoting solar panels, but at the same time, there's all this, hysteria over climate change, and it's so dire, and
I think they've made it too complicated, and we haven't discussed climate change on the show very much because we don't cover stuff that's overly covered by the mainstream as much. But once again, going back to my friend Monsieur T, and we discussed it a lot. Instead of calling it climate change, why don't we just go back to the old-fashioned pollution? Like, it's pollution, okay? The air isn't good. The water's not good. The environment's not good. So this whole, is it climate change? Is it this? It's almost like a red herring, if you know what I mean.
It's too complex.
It is.
We can't
Why don't we just talk about
the entire
pollution?
Climate and how it's going to change.
Okay.
We just can't. We're not going to get there.
Yeah, you go back to that mining company, Rio Tinto. The heck with what they're doing with the climate change. What about what they're doing to the fish in the river? And I think that's a problem. Back in the early days, we were focused on pollution. Like Pete Seeger. When I grew up on the Hudson River, full disclosure, okay, which is in the United States, state of New York. All right. So I'm a transplanted Canuck. I'll come out and admit it. I did the best I can to be a real Canuck, and I love it. Anyhow, you couldn't even swim in that river. And Pete Seeger got this boat, and he rode around, sang folk songs. A bunch of people got together, and then they cleaned it up, and they closed it. There used to be a pulp mill near us, and the beautiful stream, the Moodna River, until it hit that. And then it was like pure white dead fish and stuff. So Environmental Protection Agency, stuff like that. So we're losing the thread to a certain extent with this whole climate change, pollution. Just call it pollution and get rid of it. All right, that's my mini editorial.
Indeed.
But yeah, and I would, I wouldn't go to a protest on climate change, but I have gone to protests like BC Hydro wanted to build this coal-fired stupid plant in Hat Creek, British Columbia. which would cause acid rain and everything. And I worked with the indigenous people, and we raised money and awareness and stuff like that, and we got them to stop. Now, that's site-specific, and I encourage people to do that. But you do not have to burn buildings. Well, I'm editorializing all over the place today.
We should be going on Mark Zuckerberg's Meta and
I think,
protesting there.
Well, we've been discussing this, and
you do it online. You don't have to go out and get your skull smashed in.
Well, I think, may have to go through a fundamental change here, people, because the Yankees sent me a link this morning, and his really good friend, Joe Rogan, you guys are tight, right?
Yeah, we go back. I think
11 million people watch his show because he's telling it like it is, and he's opinionated. So I think, if we have to, we'll just get more opinionated. We'll start making predictions. You want that, people? Enough of this warm and fuzzy. We need some traction.
We're going to do predictions. Let's say we'll do predictions from January to June.
I think,
throw some more predictions in there, and then stop in June.
I think, dude, we're going to have to be more like the people we just showed videos. We're going to have to start getting aggressive. Because otherwise we're not getting nowhere. This warm, fuzzy stuff. But speaking of warm and fuzzy, we're time for Bizarro. Yeah. Right?
Indeed, we're going to do a nerdy Bizarro first.
Oh, great. And it looks like we're going to end right on time.
Conspiracy-laden Bizarro.
Well, we're getting good at this. 12:22, 8 minutes of Bizarro.
Try to get through this quick, but this is it's not easy to go over this story because it's. But I think especially a lot of the viewers on DLive, they've heard of HARP, right? Has everybody heard of HARP? The High Frequency Active Oral Research Program?
I think I've heard of that.
Or HARP has always been a combination of big science, high sleaze, and pure conspiratorial strangeness. According to Wired.com, here's the article, and I'm going to move over to the media view so we can get a visual representation of what's going on here. But so the gist of it is there's this guy that's basically been arrested for fraud, and his name is Wong. Alfred Wong.
What did Wong do wrong?
So U.S. military research, there's never been a project with such a combination of big science, high sleaze, what have you, conspiratorial strangeness. Yet somehow, some way, the story of the High Frequency Active Oral Research Program, or HARP, just got sleazier and stranger, all thanks to an elderly physicist named Alfred Wong. Wong was an early proponent of HARP. He used the facility in his studies of the ionosphere, electrically charged portion of the atmosphere. He also was something of a serial con man, according to a federal plea agreement provided to Danger Room. And there's an actual PDF link if you want to get into that. On Thursday. Now, this was posted. This is an old Bizarro. This is posted May 10th, 2013, but I kind of like it because I want to do some more research into HARP. And so he was basically, they got him on fraud, and Wong agreed to pay $1.7 million in damages for falsely billing DARPA and the Interior Department. He also pled guilty to a host of fraud charges. And HARP was originally pitched back in the Cold War as a way for plasma physicists to study the ionosphere by blasting with radio frequency emissions. If you build a series of RF antennas in remote Alaska, the scientists told Pentagon, HARP would, while not only advance our understanding of this crucial field, it could also be used to fry incoming Soviet missiles and spy on underground bunkers. So this HARP installation has been there for a while. There's been a lot of speculation that it could be causing any kind of extreme weather, hurricanes, tornadoes. We don't know, and it's just one of those things. And there's this guy, Alfred Wong, obviously an old story, but I thought it was interesting. And there's also just a quick link. Wired is overall pretty decent, but so it's the installation is 200 miles northeast of Anchorage. There's a massive military facility tucked deep in the Black Pine. What goes on at the High Frequency Active Oral Research Program depends on who you ask.
No doubt.
Self-directed researchers like Nick Bekchik said the collection of transmitters and receivers are conducting secret tests of monstrous weapons for the defense. So I'd like, hopefully, in 2022 to get some more
let's go
information on what I've been reading and watching videos and of HAARP for I don't even know how long. I've forgotten how long, and it'd be good. It'd be good to check it out.
Yeah.
Try to do some research, do a deep dive, and so for a future show, we may do something on that. And we'll move on to the last Bizarro.
Yeah, and I think this is good because this ties the whole show together. We started out the show, for those of you that might have happened to see the beginning of the show and still be with us. Thank you for doing that, by the way. Praising the wonderful land of the maple leaf, the beaver, the loon, and now we have a farm that is pegged as useless. Their website is called uselessfarm.com.
Wow. Yeah,
I'm serious.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and there should be a video. I think there's a video.
Yeah, it should work fine. It looks like it's going to load.
Well, and there you go. This is very Canadian, and if you don't laugh watching this, then
it's bizarre. It's definitely Bizarro news.
If you don't laugh watching this, you might want to come to Canada, where psychedelic drugs are now used in therapy, because you need some therapy, baby. All right. Silly animals.
There's also, I believe, an Australian bird in here, right?
Oh, there's everything, dude.
I have no idea how she got all these animals.
Slowly.
It's totally crazy.
One at a time, basically. All right,
Nice.
roll it.
Useless Farm began really probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We started with some guinea hens, and then we got some chickens. I think the first one we got was Brad, which was very unfortunate because he is miserable. No. And then I blinked, and we had emus, alpacas, mini donkey, and Gary Goose. It's a slippery slope.
Perfect. He's done charging.
I came up with the name Useless Farm because nothing on our farm has a job. Everything on our farm is just here to live out the rest of their life in relative peace. We really just let the animals be themselves, and they have a little glimmer personality.
Look at the clover hanging out of your mouth, you baby.
We have Keith, our one alpaca that has terrible anxiety.
Why does it look like Michael's posing for his new Christian Mingle profile picture?
We have Michael, who is absolutely simple, not a thought in his head.
Is this turning into maybe a near-death experience? Possibly.
Karen, our emu, who is absolutely miserable and was named Karen before Karen was a thing. So I don't know if I manifested that. I need to have my head on a swivel every single moment of my life. Stanley, who is our other emu, who is the sweetest angel. And we have Gary, who he's just happy to be involved. Hey, Gary. The reason I started doing social media was really, there were so many funny, really obscure things that happened here. And I wanted to share that with people. I wanted people to laugh and smile at these things like I do. I consider myself so privileged and so fortunate to be able to do this. I like to laugh with other people, and I like to bring smiles to other people. And during the past couple of years, we've definitely needed it. I didn't expect it to get this big at all.
Michael, you poor sweet thing. You don't have a thought behind those eyes, do you?
When I saw that Michael Bublé duetted a couple of my videos, I mean, he's just such a good sport about it. Oh my God, I laughed so hard.
You didn't pick a great hiding spot.
The reaction from people online has been so amazing, and I've been just surrounded with love from people. It's been so wonderful and so supportive, and I'm so appreciative of that, and that other people find it funny. That really means a lot.
So there is that emus, right? Emus are only from Australia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
they look horrifying to me.
This woman, I think she should get nominated as the ultimate pet owner. I mean, some people have a dog. Some people have a dog and a cat, or 2 cats. She's got, I don't even know what some of those things were. Some of them look like mutants or something. And that's so Canadian. So, ladies and gentlemen, uselessfarm.com, and they probably have YouTube videos and stuff, I would imagine, and you can be part of the reason I say it's really Canadian, because you can do something up here and succeed that's useless and get respect, and that's good.
Well, no, that's they could open that farm up to the public, right? Is it open?
Well, no, I think she's just doing viral. I think it's all viral.
On TikTok. We're coming for TikTok.
Is she on TikTok?
Yeah, she's on TikTok. I'm letting the CCP know it's official. I'm coming for you, CCP. I'm going to get inside your algorithm.
Oh, yeah, I do want to mention.
I'm going to reverse engineer everything.
Okay, we're in closing, because we're going to close this show because we're an hour and a half now. We did discuss, a lot of these different protests around the world, and we noted there ain't much going on in China. I think the people know better. They can't get away with that kind of stuff. So there you go. So God bless you, and if you be an activist. If you need to, protest, but show some respect. My experience of dealing with the police is don't push them around, because they're going to push back, and then they're probably bigger and they're probably better armed. So if I see all you young activists out there, be involved, but be nice.
Yeah, try to take it easy.
Show some respect.
And I give appreciation out to everybody in the chat. We had Sour D. We had Jack Book. Yep. Thanks to Jack Book for hanging out. Any word, as always. Thank you.
He likes the pollution point. Yeah, a point I made earlier. Don't call it climate change. Call it pollution. Deal with it. Deal with it locally. Get your septic together.
Yeah, so it was. I think it was a good time had by all.
I think we did well.
And we're gonna work on getting. We got to get Jacob back on the stream.
We got it.
Maybe next week we'll have Jacob on. See where he's at with the music festival and everything else.
Yeah, well, maybe we can entice him. We can do more on the situation that we touched on, like in the Congo and the crypto in Nigeria and what's going on in Africa, because he is actually from Africa, so that's kind of cool. You might know what's going on. Then again, maybe nobody knows.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you again, once again, for all your support. We'll see you on the next stream, and take care.
Baby, don't. I love my woman, she making love to me. this morning, looking for my shoes. I have me in case.